Welcome to Epilogue of Dawn, episode 4. I don't know why I yelled that. I'm excited. It's good to be back. Almost didn't get an episode out this month. Here I am on the last day of the month. In my defense, February is the shortest month, and I've been busy with some things, and we're gonna get into exactly that. Welcome in, and today's theme, we're kind of starting off with fleeting and how everything is fleeting. Um, Life is fleeting. Each year is fleeting. Basically, everyone and everything can be fleeting, and basically the way I look at it is, why not try to live in the moment as much as possible? And I can't say that 6+ years of getting to be a streamer has ever felt fleeting, which feels really special. It really does. And so we're just jumping right into it here. And it feels really special, especially because I get to leave streaming on my terms. A luxury that most people don't get with anything they get to do. So that feels really special to get to kind of plan out this epilogue and talk about it openly here on this podcast. I was thinking about how, I don't want to call it retiring from streaming. So I've decided this is my streaming finale coming up in a little over a year, which reminds me of, series finales of TV shows, something inevitable, a familiar place people like to go to in order to escape and have a good time with friends. But nothing lasts forever. And when I think of fleeting, I also think of an unofficial AJR lyric. It's an implied one in the song 2085, which is "You work hard for now, just now," which they say that they hear in this voice in 2085, kind of like a musical, funny, I forget what it's called. It's a fun thing they did in the song where it's like this other voice you hear, and fans hear different things when they hear this part of the song. But the creators, Jack and Ryan, here, you work hard for now, just now, but they also embrace fans hearing what they hear and hearing, other versions of that, basically, because it's unofficial. And basically, I really relate to that lyric, and it's because, oftentimes, it feels like you are working hard at what you care about then, and with no idea of how it's going to turn out in the future. And that's like a totally tough thing to accept or get used to for me. But without even realizing, I think I have just embraced that with streaming all these years. At the beginning in 2018, I thought it could be a legit long-term thing that I could make successful in a few years. But I wondered at the time if that was me being naive about it all, You always wonder that in the back of your mind. And despite that, I carried on and went for it anyways, because I moved back home to pursue this thing, excuse me. And this newfound passion that I fell more in love with, I fell more in love with it as the years went on. I'm struggling here. I'm recording this in the morning. That's going to be my defense here. I usually record these in the afternoon or after stream later in the day. But we're doing it before the stream in this case. That's going to be my excuse for tripping all of my words here and stuff. I do like to read off of notes here. It helps me get going, helps me stay on track with topics and things that I want to talk about. So yeah, keep that in mind too. And thanks for listening. Thanks for being here again. Thanks for all the support in the first 3 episodes. I'm sorry it took so long to get this one out. I do think this is more of a once a month or every 3-week type of podcast. I think that makes more sense to me now than every 2 weeks. I don't want it to be a forced thing. Each episode going to be developed naturally in a sense of okay, I want to talk about this. I have something to say about this that's related to, streaming, my epilogue, my final year of streaming, and what I want to do after streaming, of course, too. But anyways, getting a little off topic, ironically enough, with all that, I moved back home to pursue streaming, and I fell more in love with streaming as the years went on, and I'm so glad, I did that and took that leap to try to do something that I thought I would really love and be passionate about and be able to explore all my creative ideas with, or not all, but, a lot of them. So that's been amazing. And I'm so thankful that I get to do this, especially for all this time, going on 7 years later this year, this fall. So with that being said, though, passions fade and new chapters yearn to be turned. And, things I am passionate about now will come and go or fade away. And that's just life. That's There will be a day, I wake up in the future and not think about GTA 6 and not have a strong desire to play it after I have long waited for it and played 600 hours of it or something down the line. There could be a day in the future where I no longer relate to AJR's music like I do now. And that's okay. And I don't say all this to be sad, but rather to acknowledge an appreciation for things happening when they are and as they are. Everything is fleeting, and that can be both a curse and a blessing in life, but regardless, I think it's hard to come to the understanding of that. I'm trying to understand it more, that's for sure. But it's tough, and nothing lasts forever. And what a tough line that is to just say out loud and think about and let soak into your mind. As I utilized, the majority of my final months on Twitch to build a highly detailed community theme park in Planet Coaster, that means so much to me. It also passes the time in such a quick way. Days go by so quick, funny enough. It's the perfect time passer, but at the same time, it feels like, each big part of this projects in the park, are taking quite a bit longer than expected. And I feel like I'm falling behind schedule in a sense. It's making me wonder about getting it done before GTA 6 comes out. And speaking of, you had to know it was going to come up. It's going to come up every episode. I'm still cautiously optimistic about fall 2025 for GTA 6. So my deadline for completing the park is about 8 months away, because the game is assured, GTA 6 that is assured to come out assured to not come out in September now, since the same parent company, Take-Two, is releasing Borderlands 4 in late September. Then, no way they're going to put that out right before, during, or similar time frame, or right after, any of that as GTA 6. So GTA 6 is either a late October or early/mid-November launch, or it's delayed to spring 2026, basically, right? It's like, that's probably the options at this point. And we will find out in the next few months, between now and May, when Take-Two has their really important earnings call that they have yearly, where, from what I understand, they project their next fiscal year earnings, and they have to say if the game is delayed or not, basically. They'll have to say, basically May will either be an official release date, if it is coming out this year, or a delay announcement. And then I don't know what comes alongside that. If it's coming out this year, surely, most assuredly, Trailer 2 would come alongside that. But if it's not, I don't know. Maybe we would get Trailer 2. Maybe we wouldn't. I'm not really sure on that. But we will find out. And I do expect Rockstar to come out sometime before the May Take-Two call and announce the second trailer and official release date. So I think that, the release date's going to be within that trailer, and then pre-order is going to go live. The full marketing is going to kick in, and it's going to be really busy the next 6-7 months until GTA 6 comes out in the fall. And really exciting time with new trailers and artwork and cover art reveal, screenshots, hype and speculation like there has been all along, will continue, of course, too. So yeah, my best guess right now, late April. I think late April makes the most sense. I could see something happening in March, which begins tomorrow. March 1st tomorrow. How about that? Could already be March when you're listening to this. And so yeah, it could be sometime in March. They're bringing the free enhanced version that came out on console 3 years ago to PC this upcoming Tuesday, March 4th, along with a new GTA Online update. They don't seem to have a plan to market the trailer around that online update like they did with the December 2023 update, where it really helped the update a lot by marketing it around it. But anyways, I'm getting into the weeds here of GTA 6. It's not a GTA 6 podcast. And in fact, that topic's going to come up later. But I could just ramble. On and on about GTA 6. And so my best guess right now, sometime in April, I'm gonna guess around mid to late April, we get a second trailer with an official release date. Oh my goodness, what a day that will be. So anyways, I'm looking forward to spring for the weather, of course, and GTA 6 news in some sense, and new AJR music is being teased, and plus I'm, of course, continuing to build on my Planet Coaster 2 theme park. But I do think I'm falling behind a bit on the park. And I will say I'm not worried about it. Just going day by day, enjoying the process, because I think it's the whole point of the whole thing. It's a creative, fun project about, references to my Twitch channel and streaming memories over the years. And it's, it's fully a part of this whole epilogue concept of saying goodbye to streaming in a way of well, let me show my appreciation to all the people that made it so special over the years with this theme park. And in other ways, of course, as well. So the stadium in the park that I'm working on right now that I started at the end of January, I want it done by the end of February. It's at least a few weeks from being done still. And of course, I don't have to. I could go to other things and come back to it, but I've been doing that with lots of other things, getting partway through it and then inside the park and then coming back to it later. But I'm trying to complete this one thing, or get it damn near completion, and then bounce back for smaller details later while I get to other parts of the park. There's a lot to do. There's so many things I'm excited for with it. I have a huge notepad of ideas that started last summer when they announced the game was coming out in the fall. So it's really exciting. And, I may be falling behind schedule in a sense, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually, and if I got to scale back some future park ideas due to GTA 6 deadline, right? That's the deadline. I'm not doing anything, I'm not playing anything but GTA 6 when it comes out. So that's the deadline. That's okay. If we got to make some changes or have it be a little less ambitious, we're going to stick to the highly detailed part of it, though. Planet scenery is what I like to call it, even though it's called Planet Coaster. We will eventually build coasters for sure, too. But, man, I'm so in love with theming the whole park and doing all these details and scenery. Yeah. With that being said, the deadline is GTA 6. And if I can't get the last 10, 15, or 20%, whatever it may be, of the park done, that's okay, because what a great problem to have. The problem being, GTA 6 is coming out soon, so I need you to wrap up what you're doing here. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That sounds like an amazing problem to have. So, speaking of GTA 6, we are going to talk a little more about it. Not necessarily speculation about Trailer 2, which I could endlessly do, but rather my 24, which is now turned into 25-hour stream plans for the night GTA 6 is released. I'm assuming it's going to be like a midnight Eastern release, like 10 p.m. for me. And I've decided it's going to be 25 hours instead of 24. And I think anyways, right? Nothing's set in stone, but this is how I'm feeling about it as we get closer and closer each day. And I think, with 1 hour, actually 1 extra hour added. I talk fast, by the way, too. I'm like, whoo. How many words have I said in 12 and a half minutes already? Whoa, whoa. Haven't even had my morning coffee yet. But with 1 extra hour added, jeez, leading up to release. Leading up to release is where the extra hour is going to be added, so we can get hyped with watch all the trailers that came out for the game. And just all that type of stuff that this game has been talked about and speculated about and wondered about for years. The first insider report on it is from 2018, in some sense of pre-production, not actual production, but pre-production since it began, pre-production all the way back in 2014, actual production more like 2019. But it's just, there's, yeah, I don't know. And to be in that final hour leading up was a clock on screen counts us down to the official release when we all get to play. Oh my goodness. That'll be special, and I definitely want to be live for that. And I think 1 extra hour is going to be okay, and going to be definitely worth it for the GTA 6 launch stream world premiere. With that being said, though, I also started to kind of focus in on the scheduled breaks, the whole plan for the stream, including scheduled breaks that I'll be taking for eye breaks, for stretching, food, and for making content, because I want to be putting out content during all this, during all the 25 hours that I'm playing it. So here's I just kind of brought in my plans into the notes here to kind of share them with you. This is what I've been thinking on. They'll probably change in slight ways, but this is the general idea, is eye and stretch break combine 10-minute breaks every 3 hours. And I wrote a note to myself, no exceptions. So we'll see. That was, I think, maybe originally 15-minute break. It's, it's tough. It's going to be, I've been waiting for this forever. But at the same time, so I'm going to want to play nonstop, of course. But at the same time, I've been having more eye strain, I've noticed in the last few months, since I've been going ham on Planet Coaster, playing it a shit ton, streaming more hours than I was. So, I got to be cognizant of things like that. And the fact that I'll be staring at a screen for 25 hours in a row. is, something I got to be cognizant of. Is a 10-minute break every 3 hours just to stretch and to rest my eyes enough? Maybe. I I hope so, because it feels like the balance point of, because there's more beyond that. There's more to come in terms of breaks, by the way. But I think it's a good balance point, because there's also going to be meal and chat breaks where I basically have a meal probably about 3 different times in a 24-hour stream, and stop playing the game and just have a meal and just talk to chat about what I'm loving about it, my thoughts on this or that about the game, just talking about the game. Um, so, and those would be, assuming the game comes out at midnight Eastern, like I was talking about, which would be 10 p.m. for me. Those meal and chat breaks would be 3 a.m., so about 5 hours after the game came out, and then another 6 hours after that at 9 a.m., another 4 hours after that at 1 p.m., and then 5:30 p.m. With the stream, the 24-hour stream concluding at 10 p.m. So, in addition to that, there will also be making content breaks, which are about, the meal and chat breaks will be about 15 minutes. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned that. They'll be about 15 minutes, and the rest, eyes, stretch, be about 10 minutes every 3 hours with no exceptions. I'm telling myself. It's so interesting to think about, like, how much will my internal part of me listen to myself when this moment comes, and it's like, okay, time for, especially like the first one, like at 3 a.m. Do you think I'm gonna be like, want to step away after only 5 hours? But that being said, I am planning to do these making content breaks, and I'm definitely gonna do one of those in the first, I think, hour of the game, of playing the game. Just take a brief break, be like, okay, what do I want my first GTA 6 video to be on YouTube and TikTok? Which is like so crazy to think about. I have no idea what that will be. Maybe it's just like walking out into the world the first time after you complete the opening mission. Maybe it's just like, I don't know. I mean, there's so many, like the credits roll, like just the Rockstar Games logo popping up on screen. We're loading up GTA 6. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Very exciting. And I'm excited to plan this whole thing out, including what snacks and foods are going to join me for the marvelous 25 opening hours of GTA 6. That's going to be fun to figure out too. And important to make sure I get these breaks in for my eyes and for stretching and for food, stay hydrated, all those things. And good to have a plan, and fun to plan it out, and get ready that hopefully that day will arrive later this year. I'm not going to I'm definitely excited because I am cautiously optimistic it's coming out this year still, but I'm not going to be like full tilt, hype level 1 million until they give us an official release date, which technically it could still get delayed even after that happens. But if they give us an official release date with their whole cautious approach that they're clearly doing anyways, not even putting out a second trailer until they know if the game's coming out or not, or if the official window that they can narrow down to, right? That's definitely a cautious approach, going silent for 15 months before doing further marketing. Actually longer, 16 or 17 months, potentially, by the time they maybe say something, if they do this spring. I mean, by May, we definitely should have news in a sense of if it's coming out this year or not. And then if we get that official release date, that's when hype level 1 million will go off. I'll start counting down on stream. I'll talk about it even probably more on this podcast than I already am. How about the part of me? I don't even realize that I already have a GTA 6 podcast in a way. It's going to come up in here shortly, this idea of a GTA 6 podcast. And I kind of already have it here, and in a way I want it to be, where it's like I can just kind of mention it in passing. But anyways, last thoughts on the GTA 6 thing. I was recently thinking about how I may need more than 6 months, or maybe less, with GTA 6, because it's like, I feel like that's so hard to predict how much time I'm going to want to pour into it, especially as somebody who doesn't see themselves getting into the online. But you never know. That could happen. I'm certainly going to be in love with single player, I think, for months. And then, so yeah. But I'm sure I'll check out online once the servers are reasonable and you can actually like get in and stuff. And yeah. So it's just hard to predict. And I'm not sure I lost where I was on my note here. Pardon me, I was in the middle of a thought there. Yeah, with that being said, that I may want to spend 6 months with it. I might want to spend 4. I might want to spend 8. I don't know. With that being said, the grand final Jermis begins the day of GTA 6 launch and officially, for now, goes until an unknown date months after. And I feel like that's the best way to do it. Just free myself up with that. Could be 6, could be 8, could be 4, like I said. I'm not sure. And so I'm giving myself flexibility to enjoy my time with the game and not have this arbitrary date in the back of my mind the whole time that I'm counting down to, or without even like wanting to, or without even trying to. So yeah, it is an interesting combination of things, which segues me perfectly into the Dawn segment of the show, talking about post stream. That's still kind of related to, I don't know if it's really Dawn segment, but it is in a way. I hadn't really thought about this until recently, which is the fact that it's kind of strange and out of the ordinary for me to be counting down to something I'm scared of, which is leaving streaming behind, while also counting down to the game I've been waiting over 10 years to play, of course, GTA 6, which is exciting to do that, right? So it's like this contradiction. And then there's also, trying to build a really ambitious theme park in Planet Coaster 2, which is a long-term project meshed together with other long-term projects that are keeping me busy, like this podcast and my YouTube channel. And all that is making me feel a little overwhelmed, but I'm embracing it because it's good for me. Not to get overwhelmed, but rather to keep myself busy with different creative projects that challenge me in new and fun ways. So that's where I'm at with that. I've been kind of coming to that realization recently of like, damn, this is quite the contradiction of things I got going on, a lot of things going on, and I'm purposely choosing to go after this and go after that and try this and try that. And even more, as you'll hear about coming up. But I think, overall, this idea of just trying to embrace it, I think is all a good lesson in life in some sense, that you look forward to things, both the exciting and scary things, because it will only help matters, not hurt. Plus it seems the alternative is like dreading the scary thing, which will certainly make it worse or more difficult to march towards and, look forward to and deal with. So why not just try to embrace it in a sense? And, I say that as somebody who doesn't always do the best job embracing it and embracing things, tough things in general, but certainly trying to get better at that. And with all that in mind, I've been contemplating the Substack account that I mentioned, I think, on the last episode. It's been a while. And I've been, thinking about what do I want to utilize Substack for? Is it for blogging my Planet Coaster 2 park? Is it for sharing my random thoughts about GTA 6? Is it for writing and sharing excerpts from a potential future book about Twitch streaming? Is it about sharing my favorite AJR lyrics or just lyrics in general, and like what kind of this lyric really hit me because of this reason? Like, let me explain. Contemplating all these ideas and more, including, if I'll have time for this Substack account, amongst everything else that I'm doing, as we were previously talking about. So, but I do want to try it and try to make the time for it all, and maybe not for it all, but from elements of it. I don't see myself doing all those ideas I mentioned for Substack. I definitely see myself leaning in more into Planet Coaster 2, Jungle Park, and not so much like some of the other things. Well, like I don't know, it's tough. So the thing is, I wanted this episode of the podcast to be kind of the world premiere of the Substack account, and that's kind of part of the reason this episode kept getting pushed back, but also because, like, I wanted to wait till a topic or topics or thoughts combined struck me as like, okay, let's get this rolling, let's get a notepad going in and get this this is an episode that's starting to come together, and it came together. And but here's the thing, I'm still not quite ready to announce this Substack account. I have not made it yet, and I need some more time to figure it out and what I want to do with it exactly. And so stay tuned to this space and my stream for a future announcement on that for when it's ready. But I gotta say, it's been an internal struggle on what type of content I want to put out to the world. I think is what this Substack, trying to figure out what I want to do with it, is speaking to this struggle that I had, this internal struggle. And it's something I struggled with long before trying to figure out what to do with Substack. Let me explain. This is going to kind of sound like a 180 turn or or whatever. But I recently glanced at some old messages and I totally forgot and continue to forget the instances where people reached out to me looking for advice on streaming, complimenting my stream, and looking at me as some sort of role model in a sense. Probably too serious of a term, for what I do. But it's just also strange to me, and I do have a tough time accepting compliments and even more so understanding them. Streaming is the only thing in my life that has been purely my work and my creativity explored and put on display. And I never quite know how to feel when people say nice things about my stream or me. I've never been able to grasp what my stream means to people, why they tune in, why they contribute to it, because I'm just living a childhood dream of sorts. Getting to explore my creative and wacky side of myself and just have fun. I mean, are you kidding me? Wow. But I'm sensitive about my own work and people's reactions to it or lack thereof. I don't want people telling me my work sucks. I mean, who does? Or that they don't like it. And maybe that's the root of why I'm deciding to move on from it all next year. Because I can't handle or comprehend being the person in the spotlight, even if when it's like the world's smallest spotlight. I'm not famous, to quote AJR for a second time in this podcast episode. But I don't want to be an internet personality. I don't like the idea of being the center of attention. And it all, that in addition to kind of what I was mentioning before that, about the compliments, I don't know. It just, the whole thing kind of feels parasocial. The whole relationship of streamer to friends slash fans. I'd say I feel even weird calling them fans. They're friends to me. People that come around my stream and spend time, engage with me, and that I share life news with and things like that. So it's tough, but there's an element of it that all feels kind of parasocial and doesn't feel real. And I feel like a jaded creative type. Did I get that out? I don't know if I said that clearly the first time. That a jaded creative type, doing great, that can't quite figure out what the hell I want to do with my life after my creative era ends, or if it continues in a different way, like with Substack potentially. So, how much do I want to let people into my mind on the random GTA 6 thoughts I have? Mostly, speculative stuff, right? Right now, until the game comes out. And questions about how much do I want to have my personal thoughts out there for the internet to pick apart or come to mind. Does the internet really need another GTA 6 podcast or more speculation? Does the internet, I don't know. It's tough. But eventually, the game is going to come out and it's going to not be about speculation anymore. It's just going to be about playing the game and enjoying it, for me anyways. And so, like I was saying, I kind of got ahead of myself in my notes here, but I'm leaning towards no GTA 6 podcast and rather just kind of rambling about it here every so often. And in addition to everything else that's covered here in this podcast. And but I think my Planet Coaster theme park would be fun to blog about, since I could explain the meanings behind things in the park, talk about how much time it took to build things, what they mean to me, how it's a stream reference, and just show off the park and encapsulate it for the future, right? To look back on one day, and so I can look back on it one day and, be proud of the work and remember all the hours I've poured into it. I'm almost at 400 hours, and if I get about 100 hours in a month with the game, which I think I can, and we have 8 months till GTA 6, 800 hours to go. So a third the way there is super interesting to think about it that way as well. But yeah, stay tuned for the Substack stuff. I'm still gonna keep trying to work on that idea. I think a blog about my theme park makes a lot of sense, because that site is a lot more than just a blog, but I think that's the heart and soul of it, and that's the reason it's attracting my attention. I think it would be great to, here's a picture of this part of the park that I built, and here's what it means. Here's as a stream reference. Here's what it means to me. Here's how long it took to make. Here's a little fun detail about, stuff like that. I don't know. I just think it could be really fun to do that, and like I said, encapsulate it for the future as something to, and also I think it makes more sense to do it this way than like YouTube Shorts, because that's just trying to show off something really quickly and read off these lines that I've written down, okay, this is this is this. I feel like it's all too rushed for my personal liking in that case, where I'd rather it be no, here's a couple pictures, and here's an explanation. I wrote a couple sentences, or maybe a paragraph. I don't know, depending on what it is on what this is, what it means, etc. I think that'd be a really good, fun way to encapsulate the park. But I will say I want my Substack to also be more than that, and that's I think the struggle point, and what I'm gonna try to kind of figure out this weekend. In addition to getting ready for spring in my channel, as March and spring comes around, I'm gonna think on that more. Is like I want it to be more than just. I love this idea of like blogging my Planet Coaster 2 park. But I also want it to be more than that, and I don't know what that more is. I don't know if I try to jump into all my other passions, like GTA 6, like AJR lyrics, and just like not like a podcast or anything, but like just blogging about it in some way, writing, or like the Twitch potential future book about being a Twitch streamer. Maybe excerpts could go there or something like that. But we'll figure it out as we go. And as always, I appreciate you listening to this podcast and appreciate the patience as well. I think, like I said, I think it makes more sense that this is about a once a month or maybe more often from time to time type of podcast. And I really appreciate you listening to Epilogue at Dawn. And look for new episodes about once a month or so, and appreciate your patience on this one. And thanks for listening. And I hope you take care, and I will see you in March.